So this video series, we're going to continue talking about various special pieces of art and spirituality here at St. Clair, and we're going to highlight two things today that kind of focus and center around our love of the Holy Eucharist. So the Eucharist is the center of our life as Catholics, of course. You hear this preached all the time, but particularly here at St. Clair, the Eucharist and Eucharistic adoration are very, very dear to our heart, centered in the spirituality of St. Clair of Assisi, our own patroness. So today we're going to talk about a couple things that help us in our prayer life and our Eucharistic adoration here at St. Clair. And part of the blessing in our parish are two items of a Monstrance and Canopy for Eucharistic procession that were gifts from our parishioners, Judy and Percy Menzies, who come to our parish originally from India, but are American citizens. And so I just want to introduce Judy and Percy to you. And so Percy and Judy, if you want to say a little bit about yourself and how you ended up here at St. Clair.
I was a nomad in the US. I came to the country almost 42 years ago, and working for a pharmaceutical company, they would just transfer me to different cities. The last transfer was to St. Louis. Everybody just said, stay in St. Louis. And one of my reps said, have you thought about the east side? I did not even know there was any existence on this side of the river. I come here and I fall in love with O'Fallon and this parish. So there was the hand of God that brought us to this particular parish.
And where in India are you actually from? I'm trying to remember.
Well, we come from the southern part of India, which is a very large Catholic enclave called Mangalore. But we are settled further north, near a city near Bombay.
And tell me a little bit about the spirituality in India. I mean, your Catholic faith is so deep and entrenched in your lives, and you share that so generously here at St. Clair. But share with our parishioners about the faith life in India. I was privileged to go on a trip to India with the Menzies family and got to see this rich Catholic faith. But share a little bit about the amazing Catholic faith in India and how that's lived out.
You know, the Catholic faith, most people don't know us. St. Thomas, the apostle, came to India to try to convert the people. It was not very successful. But Catholicism really came to India when they found the sea route to India and the Jesuit missionaries came, primarily St. Francis of St. Francis Xavier. And his impact was so profound that India is now the largest largest Jesuit country in the world. There are more Jesuits in India than any other country.
Wow. Yeah.
It's incredible. If you want to see the Catholic Church in action, come to India. In education, in healthcare, in taking care of the poor, the poorest of the poor, the lepers. 90% of the people with leprosy are taken care by the nuns. Same thing with the handicapped, people who are discarded of society. So Mother Teresa certainly was the most prominent of them. But you go to see the work, and there are hundreds of Sister Mother Teresas all over the country. And it is not surprising that because of the faith instilled by these missionaries, India has more vocations to the priesthood and religious life than any other country. No other country comes even close to what India is doing. In some of the seminaries, there's a 3-year waiting period to get in.
Yeah, I was privileged to witness that Catholic faith in India when I was there with you, and I learned so much more about the Jesuits as well. I mean, here in the United States, the Jesuits run big universities, but there I got to see the Jesuits doing what they really started out as missionaries. And we just had a recent feast day of John de Brebeuf and Isaac Jogues, Jesuit missionaries martyred in the Canada area, and I was thinking about that missionary zeal of Indians in general, and also as witness the incredible devotional life of the Catholics in India, and I think that leads us to these two devotional pieces we want to talk about today that just come from the deep faith of the Catholic faith that is in India from all the way back from the beginning times, or meaning with St. Thomas, as you said, and Francis Xavier as well. So I think it's great that I kind of see you bless our parish as missionaries. You bring your devotional life, your zeal for the Catholic faith here as well. So we're so enriched by that. So we want to talk a little bit today about two specific religious items that we're blessed with from the deep faith traditions that we get from our beautiful Catholic brothers and sisters in India. So the first religious article we're blessed with to have from India is that of our Monstrance, and actually kept the covering on it for you to see this beautiful silk covering that was made by these religious sisters that we're going to talk about a little bit later, that shows like the prayers rising up in incense as well. So, but we want to kind of reveal, I think many of you have seen the Monstrance. We have Eucharistic adoration at our parish, usually on the first Sunday of the month for 24 hours. And then we also have on Tuesday nights a Eucharistic adoration from 6 to 7 p.m. every Tuesday. We call Quiet on Cross Street, just an hour of quiet, beautiful time. And in a future video, I'm going to talk more about actual Eucharistic adoration. But today I just want to highlight this piece of artwork that helps us pray and helps us in our Eucharistic adoration devotion here at St. Clair. So this is a beautiful piece. Again, we I discovered on a trip to India with the Menzies, and so. But Percy, you want to say a little bit about the story of how, in a sense, we found this Monstrance or discovered it together?
One goal was to take Father Jim to India. It was a 10-year project. So finally, in 2010, we landed in India, the capital city, New Delhi. And the very next day is the Feast of the Assumption. So we asked the concierge, is there a Catholic church close by? He said, yeah, there is one just a few blocks from here. And we walk up there, and that's the main cathedral of the city. So we go there, and the Blessed Sacrament is exposed. Now, to me, as a layman, it didn't surprise me a whole lot. But Father Jim just said, look at the beautiful monstrance. Look at the size of it. I think we should have a similar monstrance, for our church. How nice, because the size of a church, we need a monstrance like this. So I said, Father, very likely this came from Italy or some other country. And after Mass, we went and talked to the parish priest, and I said, where did you get it from? Oh, they make it in India, at this place in southern India. And we have a little store that sells church goods. Why don't you go and talk to them? So we just walk up there and we talk to the nun, and she says, yes, it's a special order monstrance that it'll take a few months, but I can order it for you. But she didn't seem very enthusiastic or so on, and I just and I said, can I give you some, a down payment for it? She said, oh, no, when it comes, I'll let you know. Didn't think much of it. So we come back to India, come back to the US. About 3 months later, I get a call from India. This nun says, do you remember me? Your monstrance is here. I said, what? He said, yes, the monstrance is here and it's ready for pickup. So that's how the story starts.
Wow. Yeah, I do remember going into that cathedral and seeing it, just because of its size and also its beauty, but its simplicity, just the rays of God's love coming out of the Center Eucharist, and the size of the host really was remarkable. We have other smaller monstrances that are also beautiful, and it usually has a smaller host, but this one I thought of when I saw it was because of the height of it, and also the size of the host, that in our great big church, it's just a more visible sign for people to pray. But it was a great story of sort of discovering it together, and then handmade in India, the simplicity of it, and yet the beauty to help us with our Eucharistic adoration here at St. Clair. Yes, Percy, that's a great story, remembering when we first discovered it. But tell us kind of the other part of the funny story, if you will, of how you even got it back. Did you take this on a plane?
So we I had a friend of mine pick it up and bring it here. And he told me to bring it to my house in India. And he says it's not going to be an easy thing. So when I looked at the monstrance, I was in awe, because I was seeing it from very close quarters. And I said, this is too precious to put it in my checked luggage. I'm going to hand carry that in my carry-on bags. So I put it in there, and I go to the security check, and the guy is just shocked, as he was carrying some kind of a contraband. So I tried to explain, so what is this? I said, this is something we use in our Catholic rituals. He couldn't understand that. So it was almost like giving him a quick lesson on Catholicism. And, it came through. So again, the same thing happened in New Delhi at my flight to the US. But it was hilarious, but it was worth it. But then what really strikes me is when we brought the monstrance here, look at the monstrance in the hand of St. Clair. It's almost, she's saying, I'm giving you this monstrance, continue the adoration of the Eucharist. This is what I'm telling you. You can see the similarity of the two monstrance. So there is something about it that it was almost a gift of God that it had to come here.
Absolutely. So we want to talk a little bit now about another part of Eucharistic adoration, and that's Eucharistic processions that are a rich part of our Catholic history and tradition. Eucharistic processions began in the medieval times, and they really became popular after the Protestant Reformation, and Protestants kind of took a different approach in terms of the understanding of the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist. So as Catholics we get bolder about some of our beliefs and traditions, and that's really what started Eucharistic adoration and then Eucharistic processions, of wanting to, the purpose of Eucharistic procession is to take the Eucharist, the consecrated host, the real presence of Jesus, out of the church, out into the world. And Eucharistic processions throughout the world go through towns and down the streets and the highways and the byways to kind of show off our belief in the real presence of Jesus. Here at St. Clair we have beautiful Eucharistic processions, primarily two times. One is on Holy Thursday, a simpler Eucharistic procession through the church to the altar of repose that you've seen those who have participated in Holy Thursday process so beautifully. And the other Eucharistic procession we have is on Corpus Christi. And again, particularly because of our devotion to the Eucharist here at St. Clair, we have a tradition of Corpus Christi processions, oftentimes through the town, and sometimes we've taken them all the way to our old church in downtown O'Fallon. And Eucharistic processions are again for an opportunity for individuals and families, children, parishioners, to be proud of our Catholic faith and our belief in the Eucharist, and also just to kind of, that we Catholics, it connects with our social outreach, that we are the body of Christ, and every time we do ministry to others, we are a Eucharistic procession, if you will. So connecting our official religious Eucharistic processions to the Eucharistic processions that we are every time we take the body of Christ to others. So in that context, I want to talk a little bit about our particular canopy that we're blessed to have here at St. Clair, that again is a gift from India, made by some sisters in India. And again, this is used on Holy Thursday and Corpus Christi. At least at this time, that's when we use it the most. So I'm going to ask you, Judy, because you're the one that kind of found this in India. Tell us a little bit about how you came across this one, or how we ended up having this one made.
I went to a tiny little gift shop, and I asked the sisters there, I think they were Mount Carmel sisters, and said, do you have something that we can, when we take the Blessed Sacrament out into the streets, we have a covers like a canopy, do you have one in here? And she said, she looked at me like, you don't expect me to have a canopy in here. So she said, I said, can you make one for me? She said, sure, we can make one for you. So I said, how long will it take? She said, 3 months. I said, I'm leaving in 1 week. And she said, she looked at me like, you expect me to do this with all this hand-sewn thing in 1 week? So I said, okay, you make it ready, and then I'll get someone to come and pick it up, and then we can go ahead and get it back to the U.S. So she took I think it took about 3 months, because all these little symbols and everything is all handmade by the nuns. And then she called my Percy's cousin and told her that it's ready, can you come and pick it up? And so when we picked it up, and then when Percy went back to India on another trip, he picked it up and brought it here.
So as you can see, Judy's wonderful devotional life, she recruits her husband to bring these items back for us. So one would think that a pharmacist would get caught in the airport with bringing drugs back into the country, but Percy often gets caught carrying monstrances on the plane, our canopies. But I promise you that this canopy did not come with the poles. It was folded up in something that you could fit on your carry-on that time as well. But I want to zoom in a little bit about some of the beautiful symbols again that are associated with the Eucharist here, that the sisters again all hand embroidered, and that's a symbol of the grapes and the wheat, and the beautiful chalice there as well, and then of course all the fringe, and even the underside is lined with some beautiful silk fabrics as well. So we then put a wooden frame on the inside to keep it sturdy, and then attached it to these poles that we had made to make it a full canopy that we keep in its good structure to keep it well kept as well. So it's a great tradition that we have here through this Eucharistic adoration that connects us, the universality of our Catholic faith, especially the devotional life of the people of India, now blesses us here at St. Clare. But it's a universal love of Jesus in the Eucharist that allows us to have these devotional practices here at our parish and as Catholics around the world.